Howdy, and welcome to the Lost Rider podcast. It's an honor and a privilege to address you in the capacity of an interviewer, reporter, and media member. Too many modern media outlets have forgone the integrity and responsibility required of credible information sources. What you will receive here are straightforward discussions with legislators, agency leaders, biologists, engineers, doctors, and countless other experts that have the answers to questions often circulated as kitchen table issues. The title Lost Rider may be thought of literally as well as in the metaphorical sense. While there has been the instance that I was momentarily a little turned around at night in a wilderness area, the idea of being a lost rider in life, well, that fits most folks at some time. These renderings are coming to you in the form of the 25-year-old radio program, The News from the Camp House. It still airs every Saturday morning at 6:30 a.m. Central Time on KULM 98.3 FM out of Columbus, Texas. The original intent was to relate outdoor topics to the general public. Immediately, it was found that all issues are relatable to the outdoors and that people are people. They all play a role and they all have a vested interest. It's this program's desire to answer common questions about how the world works, how it will operate in the future, and what's the holdup? So please listen, enjoy, and never hesitate to contact us with more questions and feedback. Good morning and welcome to this weekend's edition, News from the Camp House, the listening post of the Texas Sportsman Association. This is Herman Brune. This weekend's edition is also brought to us by Shaw's Bend Social Club, country club folks who don't have a country club. All right, now, tell you what, we're here this weekend. We're in Great Falls, Montana. We're at the C.M. Russell Museum. All right, this is a great place. This is a wonderful place. And I'm sitting here with the executive director, Mr. Duane. I don't know what your last name is.
Last name's Braaten.
Braaten, okay, you said that. I can't remember nothing. Okay, Mr. Duane Braaten, he's executive director of the C.M. Russell Museum. All right, let me explain a little bit right quick. Frederick Remington and C.M. Russell are the two guys we think of when we think of Western art that depicts the Old West, how it was. And there are meccas for, Southwest art down in Santa Fe, the art galleries in Jackson Hole. Anymore now, you got the Briscoe in San Antonio, you got the Scottsdale Museum. There's meccas, but this is where it starts. As far as I care, it all starts right here in Great Falls. Charlie Russell's studio is here. The cabin that he did so much of his work in is here. His home is here on the museum grounds. This is a great place. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. Now, Duane, tell me a little bit. When I think about Charlie Russell, most of his work was done maybe 1880 to 1820.
Most of his work about 1880 until he died in 1926.
All right. And the perspective of this is that we're talking from the 1880 to the turn of the century into the 1920s. There's a lot of folks 1880 that really didn't know. He encapsulated and depicted a lifestyle, an era that people didn't know about. I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as the story goes, Charlie Russell was born and raised down in St. Louis, and he always dreamed about being a cowboy. So he wanted to come out and see what the West was all about, see what all the folks on the riverboats were talking about that came down the Mississippi down to his hometown of St. Louis. And he heard all these wonderful stories, and he read all these books, and Charlie Russell knew he was going to get out here. His parents finally relented, and he made it out here with a family friend when he was 16 years old, and as the story goes, he never looked back. So, it took a lifetime of hard work, dedication, and living the life of a cowboy to become a household name. So it wasn't an instant overnight success, but Charlie worked hard and he had a lot of fun in doing so.
All right. Now like you said, he was in New Jersey?
Born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri.
Louis. All right. He went to school in New Jersey later.
Very, very briefly, he was sent out to a military school, but that didn't stick at all. So, he gave that a go, but it turned right back around, and that's when his parents let him come out west and get it out of his system.
And it did not go out of his system.
It did not, absolutely. And that's what makes the Charlie Russell story so incredible, is that first and foremost, he wanted to be a cowboy and live that life. But at the same time, he wanted to paint what he was seeing. And he was the first to admit he wasn't the best roper or the best rider. But he was hanging out with the guys that did, and those are the guys that he was documenting and remained friends with for the rest of his life.
All right, and even as you said, he always wanted to do that. Came out here when he was 16. He was already sketching this stuff when he was in that school in New Jersey.
Well, that's right, and there's a lot of pieces here in the museum's collection that he was creating as an early teenager. Now, it's well known Charlie didn't do a lot of formal art training, but he sat at his mother's feet as she was doing her watercolors, and that's what she did for fun. So Charlie was born and raised, grew up around the arts and was inspired by it, but Charlie needed a way to get those dreams in his head about the West down on paper, and that's how he knew how to do that, is by sketching and by drawing, by sharing and learning. So,
all right, okay. Well, all right. It's safe to say that so much of the stuff he did. There's a lot of wildlife art. There's stuff that depicts different instances with like the Blackfeet tribe, the Crow tribe, and this isn't stuff he just made up. I mean, this is stuff he saw.
You're exactly right. In many ways, he lamented the fact that a lot of that West had already passed by the time Charlie got out here. It was developed to an extent that he wasn't seeing the Indians moving across the plains with travois and things like that. But you nailed it right there. The three main subject matters that Charlie focused on were wildlife, the Native American subjects, and then the cowboys. He created about, maybe just a little shy of about 4,000 pieces in his career. So boy, did he ever get to work. Yeah. So those three subjects are by far and away the most prevalent that you'll see.
And, going back to what I was trying to describe in the very beginning, by doing it this way, he depicted an era and a lifestyle that was completely foreign to anyone else in the world.
Oh, that's right, except for those brave enough to leave the confines of the big city and come out and see, what Lewis and Clark started writing about.
Right. Okay. Now that's okay. I thought about that too. Lewis and Clark started writing about that. Of course, you got Lewis and Clark National Forest out here, and it all fits together. This is Charlie Russell country, and so much of his artwork depicts the East Front. It depicts the country out, all the way from the eastern front of the Rockies to the Missouri Breaks to central Montana, and so it's all Charlie Russell country.
It is all Charlie Russell country, and boy, do we like to brag about Charlie deciding this guy that could have lived anywhere in the world. He chose to live right here on the eastern slope of the Rockies. I mean, a lot of Charlie's masterpieces, you'll see those wonderful flat-top butte mountains, the mesas, if you will. that are right here in the Great Falls area. There's several of them. And sure enough, they make the skyline of a lot of Charlie Russell pieces.
All right, and that's part of what you want people to appreciate, because it's still pretty big country, and you can look at it and you can still kind of see it.
You can still see it, yeah. They don't call it the Big Sky for nothing. You can get out there, and those skylines that Charlie depicted are still there for us to envision, and boy, the sunsets that he pulled out every color of the palette to create, they're almost unbelievable to anyone who wouldn't have ever seen them firsthand. But here in Montana, in this part of Montana, all the colors come out at sunset, and Charlie Russell got them all down for sure.
Right. I think part of the point I want to make is that, okay, he started doing this around 1880, and it's still here. The mountains haven't gone anywhere. The country's big open. It's fenced up a little bit now, but you can look at his paintings and his art, and you can still see the countryside. You can still see the wildlife. There's cattle on it. They're not Longhorns, they're Angus now, but there's cattle on it. Some of it's been farmed up, but you can certainly go from the eastern front of the Rockies all the way out into the Missouri Breaks, and just take a tour. Just go look around, take a tour, and you can imagine the Blackfeet or the Crow or the Sioux. You can imagine the buffalo. It's the land hasn't changed.
You're exactly right, and it's a wonderful place still to live today. Is right here in Great Falls.
It's one. Okay, now one of the things I do not see so much in the Russell art is that 30 below.
The 30 below.
Yeah, in the wintertime.
Oh, there's a few. I mean, there's a very famous one called "The Last of the 5,000" that Charlie did to as a postcard back to the ranch owner of the ranch, and just in one simple drawing, he told that ranch owner how things were going in the middle of the blizzard that just wouldn't end. And it's alternately titled "Waiting for a Chinook." Here in Great Falls, in this area, we get those warm Chinook winds come throughout the winter, and they'll maybe melt the snow and give us a little breather from those 30 below days. But that winter, those Chinook winds just didn't come.
All right. Now, one of the things, once you start looking into the Russell history just a little bit, there's other folks. There's other folks who made a mark. There had a legacy that left that poetry, whether it's poetry or art or whatever. And most of these people were pretty good friends.
You're exactly right. This, Charlie Russell came here to town, and boy, I don't know if he really inspired a lot of other artists. There was another well-known artist named Olaf Karl Seltzer that also lived here. He was from Denmark originally, but he lived and worked here in Great Falls. And still today, I mean, artists, it's amazing how many professional artists still live in north central Montana and Montana in general, because the landscapes are so inspiring. There's an unending list of source material out there.
All right. I'll tell you what, let's take a quick break and thank folks who let us come on here every Saturday morning. We'll be right back. Thank goodness for all the great sponsors we have here at News from Camp House. H-E-B Food Stores. That's Stephen Tice at H-E-B. He helps me. He helps the community. He's a great man. I'm so thankful H-E-B loosened him up, lets him go around and sponsor a few things. H-E-B's got all your food needs. It's the greatest food store we got here in Columbus. thank goodness for HEB. First State Bank, you go over to the First State Bank, they'll take care of all your loans, all your deposits, your savings, anything you need. Bunch of great hometown people over there. You got Celia Tobias, John Pollock, everybody over there is looking out for you. Miss Barbara Barta. It's a great bunch of folks at the First State Bank is also sponsoring News from the Camp House. First State Bank takes care of all my business. Baumgart Agency, Susan Baumgart at the Baumgart Agencies, her and Germania. She told me to plug Germania. Germania is an insurance that she likes to everybody to know about. The Baumgart Agencies. Miss Susan and I are classmates, being classmates. She got me out of high school, sat right beside her, put us in alphabetical order where I could copy. And Susan Baumgart over at the Baumgart Agency taking care of all your insurance needs. Lyco Realty, one of the original sponsors of News from the Camp House. Lyco Realty, the oldest real estate company in the county, and for the last 3 years voted the favorite realtor in the county. Lyco Realty, that's Miss Kimberly Johnson. That's Crockett's granddaughter. More kinfolks and classmates and great people from Colorado County. People from Colorado County helping people from Colorado County. That's great. Oh, thank goodness for all these wonderful people come to me want to be sponsors for News from the Camp House. Good morning and welcome to the second half of this week's News from the Camp House. I'll tell you what, we're in Great Falls, Montana this morning. We're at the C.M. Russell, the Charlie Russell Museum. We're here with the executive director, Mr. Duane Braaten, and just talking about all the special stuff about this. Charlie Russell was a premier Western artist that we always think about. I think, most of my cowboy buddies have a Charlie Russell print somewhere. Now, you know what I have? I've got a letter from Charlie Russell to Will James. I am so proud of that. Will James was another artist, cowboy artist, also an author. And what we were just talking about at the last half there, into the first half, was that how these guys always found each other, that, there were writers, there were other photographers, and they seemed to find each other out here.
They sure did. That's a great example with Will James. And as far as a Renaissance man like Charlie Russell that could do it all between drawings, paintings, and then books and of stories that people, gobbled up as soon as they came off the printer. Charlie Russell, he connected with those artists out here in Montana, but he connected with the artists out in New York City. He eventually, towards the end of his life in the 1920s, he connected with some of the Hollywood producers and that were creating the Westerns as the movies were starting to come out. So all those creatives were really connecting in wherever the location. But for Montana and such a low population, all those really inspired people were finding one another.
All right, that's something that I was kind of curious about. Did his artwork catch on immediately in the East, or did that take a while?
We have one person to thank for Charlie Russell really becoming a nationwide success and celebrity, and that was when he met and married his wife, Nancy Cooper. Was that ever a match made in heaven. They met in a small community just 20 miles south of Great Falls here. Met through a family friend, and Charlie met and married Nancy, and his career really accelerated, really skyrocketed from that. That was right around the turn of the century, so 1900. Uh-huh. And she's the one that said, we need to move to the big city of Great Falls, Montana. We need to move to the street in that city where anyone who's anyone lives, out here on 4th Avenue North. Okay. And that's right where the Russell home and original log cabin studio still stand today. And it's Nancy Russell that took Charlie out to New York City, took him over across the Atlantic, showings over in London, and just really became a nationwide celebrity.
All right, and the paintings caught on. I mean, that was the deal. People didn't think they were strange. People didn't think this is unusual, or they looked at it and they accepted it, and it all caught.
No, they absolutely caught on. And, in a lot of ways, it was because of Charlie's early days as an illustrator for the different magazines of the day, Scribner's and all of those that were getting the Wild West stories out to the whole country. Mm-hmm. Charlie became a household name because of his illustrations for those magazines.
Okay.
And then they started seeking out his artwork, and the masterpieces followed.
That's the deal. So he already had a published name in mainstream.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't an overnight success. It was really a long and deliberate set of hard work, career of hard work to get out there. And the thing that really made Charlie Russell stand out is he walked the walk. He really, lived that life, and anything he did was as authentic as it could be. Right. From the accoutrements on the Native American figures to, just the right details in landscapes, and people knew that Charlie was showing it right. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's you can imagine. Okay, I just was in the Bob for about a week, and living in the wilderness for about a week, you don't screw up. You do everything deliberately, and you kind of have a way of doing things. You don't do things wrong. You do things right, and everything turns out all right. And I can only imagine in the 1880s to 1920, living in a cow camp or in the mountains or any place, that you have to have that kind of attitude to survive. And that comes out in the paintings. I mean, you can look at the people. These are tough, hard people that don't screw up.
You don't screw up, but I tell you, Charlie Russell felt more comfortable in those kind of situations than when he had to put the tuxedo on for the ballroom affair that out on the East Coast. He did that if Nancy told him to do it, but he was very reluctantly.
All right. Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's talk a little bit about one of my favorite things. It has become one of my favorite things to do now. Is like I said, the Russell auction is up here in March, right? And there's, of course, you've got these other Western art meccas of Santa Fe, Santa Fe, Jackson Hole, Scottsdale, Briscoe and San Antonio, and others. Dallas, there's a good one in Dallas. You got all these, but this is the real one. This is the number one deal here. When you come to the Russell auction, everybody else comes here. All of them. The collectors, the museums, and the art lovers. And then you got some little guy like me sneaking in here trying to pilfer something, And I've been lucky. I have picked up, like I was telling you, I picked up that letter from Russell to Will James. But describe that scene to my listeners. It's at the Heritage Inn, and it's more damn fun than I can almost stand.
Oh, you said it so very well. That's an event that we're so proud of here at the Russells. So imagine this. It was the late 60s, 58 years ago. Some folks here in Great Falls said, let's have a Western art auction to support the C.M. Russell Museum. This museum was first founded in the mid-50s, 1953, but they were talking about their first building expansion. And they said, let's have a Western art auction fundraiser. And they did it. It was a success. And from that year to this, 58 years, there's been a Western art auction to benefit the C.M. Russell Museum right around that same March weekend where Charlie Russell's March 19th is his birthday. So it's a big celebration. And just like Charlie would approve, a very authentic Western experience.
Oh, it is. All right. Now, there's more going on than just the Russell auction. There's a couple of how many other ones going on at the same time.
You're right. We tell people to have their running shoes on. Just the museum's events have 2 nights of live auction, an art and action event, educational symposium, things like that. There's other art auctions going around here in Great Falls that we coordinate closely with. There's artists. One of the greatest things about the weekend is the contemporary artists all flock to town, and several hotels actually gut the rooms and the artists turn them into makeshift galleries for that weekend. So it's a special weekend to be able to see hundreds of Western art enthusiasts and the artists still creating it today.
Yes, it's the big deal is at the Heritage Inn.
That's correct. So the museum events are at the Heritage Inn, and it's standing room only. We sell out every single year, and people make sure. One of my favorite things is as people are leaving the venue the night of the auction, they're already asking what the date is for next year, so they can reserve their rooms and they can make their travel arrangements. So, that says a lot right there.
Oh, it is. It is. Okay, and I'll give my listeners some perspective. This year, I think Friday. Well, okay, you said it's about, let me clear it up. You said something about art action, and that was a little quick. Explain to them what that is.
Yeah, one of our very fan favorite events is called Art in Action, and it's a traditional quick draw where the artists have 2 hours to create a piece right in front of your eyes, and then those pieces are sold. So it enables the audience to really connect with the artists. And that's where the magic happens, is to be able to connect like that, not only professionally. Maybe it's a piece that you really want to have hanging on your walls, but hey, wouldn't it be even better to have a great story to go along with it?
Sure.
That you saw that piece being created.
And the part of the deal is too, I've been to it twice. I've only been to it twice. I'm going to go some more. But you can't help it. I've been to it twice, and now I've got artists that are buddies,
Oh, yeah. That's what, careful if you come once, because then you're going to be hooked. And again, you'll put it on the calendar every year. You really do make a lot of connections. And that's what's so special about it, is it does serve as a homecoming of sorts, that people that love Charlie Russell and love Western art, it's fun to be around together and feed each other's addiction.
Yeah. Okay, all right. We're out of time this morning, but Duane, I sure appreciate you talking to all my listeners.
Oh, that was fun. I appreciated that.
All right, folks. Now look, when you come to Montana, this is one of your stops right here, the C.M. Russell Museum. You go out, you enjoy the mountains, you go enjoy the parks, you go enjoy everything around Montana there is to enjoy. But you come to the C.M. Russell Museum, and you see how it's depicted, how it was from 1880 to 1920, and how artists are historians, how they depict history and give us all an insight into how history actually was preserved. So, Duane, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, folks. This weekend's edition was also brought to us by the Shaw's Bend Social Club, country club for folks who don't have a country club. Now, you go out, you have fun, you have a safe weekend, and y'all just remember, pretty much any day is sure a good day to be in the woods.